Dr. Maryam Zain, Director ORIC, the Women University Multan. So I welcome all the respected participants and speaker to this important seminar, whose topic is how TTS improve performance of academic faculty in higher education institutes. So before giving an introduction about the speaker, let's start with the name of Allah. Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Sadaqallahul azim. So today it's our honor that this speaker is very competent and expert in research and technology. And today our speaker is Dr. Muhammad Naseer Akhtar. He is the facilitator for today's webinar. And just let you know about Dr. Naseer Akhtar. He is a senior management consultant, a researcher, a teacher, and an expert in editorial as well as publishing research. He is currently working as Assistant Professor of Human Resource Management and Employee Relations at NUST Business School since 2016. And Dr. Naseer Akhtar has worked with a number of international universities, such as Mykola Romero University, Lithuania, Cyprus International University, Turkish Republic of North Cyprus, and University of Chester, UK. He is expert in international student recruitment and academic partnership at international level. Apart from international services, Dr. Naseer Akhtar has recently completed 3 years term as Head of Research at NUST Business School. In this role, he has successfully developed research culture and established a team of high-impact researchers during these 3 years. His research initiatives resulted in international recognition and ranking by QS World Ranking. And because of his efforts and his team, obviously, NUST Business School is ranked 350 in the world for business and management. Similarly, Dr. Naseer Akhtar has launched an international research journal named as NUST Business Review as editor-in-chief. The inaugural issue was published in November 2019. And this is pertinent to mention that HEC has recognized this journal in Y category, and one of the first journals in the country to receive such category on the very first issue published. So as Women University also have launched 10 journals, so we will take an advice from him for sure. So Dr. Naseer Akhtar is regularly invited by HEC as well for a number of ongoing policy making initiatives, and most recently for HEC HJRS Journal Recognition System. So with this introduction, I invite him. Sir, please join and increase our knowledge on this topic, that how TTS system is going to be a great positive impact on our university system.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Dr. Maryam, for the introduction. And I'm thankful to Dr. Sadia Rishad. She initially contacted me to deliver this webinar. I'm really grateful and honored to be in this session. I'm Dr. Naseer Akhtar, based in Islamabad and working at NUST Business School for the last 5 years. Today, I have to talk to the faculty of Women University Multan about how TTS improves the performance of academic faculty in higher education institutions. So, mainly, as I would like to, because the most relevant role is that I'm also serving on TTS. So this makes a right combination to talk about the topic. So if you look at NUST's Tenure track is the perfect path to continue developing my career. The combination of freedom and autonomy for me personally, while embedding the research of my group in collaborations with NUST internally and externally abroad, has really worked out well for me. I can give a lot of examples as compared to other individuals who are either tenure track or non-tenure track, how they are developing their career as faculty members at different universities. But I will discuss in detail about my experience of being a TTS faculty member. And this will definitely give you a glimpse that how it works when you join TTS as your career prospect. And today's topic, I will talk about the following important points. First of all, I'm sure that all of the faculty members joining this session are familiar about TTS, but I will give a brief descriptor about what TTS is and how it is working in Pakistan under the umbrella of Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. And then I will also discuss about the role and initiatives taken by the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan to promote TTS and make it more attractive for both male and female faculty to be the cream and the finest faculty in the country. So it had its own targets and purposes at the time when it was introduced by Dr. Atar Rahman in 2002. So we will discuss into detail as well. And then I will give a bit about the TTS process, that if somebody is interested in joining TTS as a package for their faculty development and their career prospect, what process they have to follow, how it works for them if they join on TTS. I will try to be a bit brief on this process, because a detailed document and some other related policy and procedure documents are already available on HEC website. I will give you the link. I will also provide some reading material for all of the participants so that they can have a detailed idea that if they want to join TTS, how it should be. And then I will also discuss about why join TTS. And there will be a motivation for the participants to understand it and then follow it, that if they want to join it, what motivations are there. I'll definitely take plenty of time of this session to discuss my experience. I will provide you the tips to survive, not only survive, but also thrive when you join as TTS faculty member. So both are important, survival and thriving while joining TTS, and also following the examples of dead words, those who do not perform, but they are still on TTS, what happens to them, I will also discuss as well. And then finally, I will give you the chance to discuss in detail if you have any relevant questions about TTS related issues, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. All right, so moving on, what is TTS? The first part of this session. So we need to have a brief descriptor about it. The tenure track is a professor's pathway to promotion, academic freedom, job security, and a career as an academic in higher education. This is as simple it is, right? So it is a process by which an assistant professor becomes an associate professor, which is an entry-level position for the junior or freshly PhD graduates to join on TTS. Then they move on to associate professor, those who have successfully completed 6 years on tenure as assistant professor, or those who are directly eligible to join as associate professor if they meet the requirements of publications, grants, and other requirements set down by Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. So there are two pathways to join as associate professor. Either you can join directly, or if you complete a tenure of 6 years as assistant professor on TTS, you will be promoted to associate professor if you meet the requirement. And then finally, full professor. Those who successfully complete TTS on associate professor are directly eligible to join as full professor. So we have quite a lot of examples at NAS, because being the top university in Pakistan and the World Rank Institute, so we have more than 200 faculty members on TDS, and they are almost all of them are thriving. And we have plenty of examples of direct recruitment at associate professor level and as well as full professor level. So we are quite familiar with this process as compared to other universities in Pakistan.
Excuse me, sir, Dr. Saab. I think your screen is not shared. Your screen is actually not shared. We are unable to see your
All
slides.
right, maybe let me try it again. Thank you for pointing out. All right, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. I thought it was visible, so please keep me pointing out, because whenever it is disconnected or reconnected, so already screen shared disappears. Right, so TDS, we are talking about that it's a process of entry level position as assistant professor to associate professor, and then full professor, those who fulfill the requirements or those who complete a tenure of 6 years as assistant professor, and then associate professor, and then move on to full professor. So there are direct routes and as well as a routine route as well. All right, so for TDS appointment and promotion, there are set policies and procedures. Detailed documents are available on HEC website. So I will not go into those detailed documents, but I will definitely provide a brief information that how you can make the most use of those information readily available on HEC website. Right, so as I mentioned, it was started by Professor Dr. Taur Rahman in 2002, and this position, remember, is for assistant professor to full professor. So if there are lecturers or adjunct faculty members or other clinical researchers, visiting scholars, whatever, those are the temporary positions not considered for tenure track system under HEC Pakistan. So this system is specifically designed for positions of assistant professor to associate professor and then full professor. All right, so moving on. Looking at the role of Higher Education Commission. Just bear with me. All right, so it was introduced in 2002, and it was developed as a program at international level, followed by many Western universities, well-established program. And that idea was conceived by Professor Dr. Taur Rahman to introduce it in Pakistan to make it highly attractive and well-paid career prospect for highly impactful faculty members in Pakistan. And the ultimate objective was, because HEC was sending scholars for doing PhD abroad, so it was intended to have a brain gain with some package that attracts those returnees, that if they come back to Pakistan, they will be highly paid as well and well recognized. So this is how it is. It was introduced in 2002, and later it was the package, the salary package, and major amendments were made first time in 2011, which is also considered as the first revision. And then the second revision was made in 2015, where the salary package was further increased, which is now applicable. And the third revision is already approved by Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. Last week, I came to know from HEC authorities that they approved the summary of revising 35%, 25 to 35% salary package increase with this existing salary package. So ultimately, it will have around 60,000 increase in base salary for the TTS faculty members, and the summary is sent to Ministry of Finance. Will be approved, and they might start it from with effect from 1st July 2020, and all the areas will be paid as it was in back in 2015. So next, right? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible now.
And screen is also shared?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Because I have to check occasionally, otherwise,
It's okay.
yeah. All right, so this is the right time to join TTS as a package for faculty members, because it's quite attractive at this point of time in terms of reasonable salary package. So currently, the basic salary for assistant professor is 130,000. Along with 4 increments, it comes to 165,000. But when this 25 to 35% increase will be applicable, the salary will go up to 180 or 90,000. So, and then if you add the increments, so ultimately it will be more than 210, 220,000 for assistant professor level positions. Right, so it is due, and within this month or next month, we will be able to hear about the announcement of this increase, inshallah. All right, so before moving into the details, this data is provided by Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, and you can see when it was introduced. So in 2005 and 6, some of the faculty members joined. So because it was new, and most of the faculty members were either on contractual positions or some BPS positions. Most of them were on BPS. So even the contractual positions were not that much common at that time. So they started with a few numbers, and with the passage of time, these numbers increased as they keep on revising the salary packages and making it more attractive. So if you currently see, this is the most recent data provided by Higher Education Commission Pakistan. So there are 3,198 faculty members until 2018, those who are working on TTS as a package. So what I expect that there were a lot of appointments made in 2019 and spring 2020. So I guess that this figure is around 4,000 now in the country. So there are altogether 4,000 people working on TTS package. So this data, the strength of tenure faculty from the beginning till now, is available on HEC website, right? So as I mentioned, the source hec.gov.pk. So you can also have a look at this data. All right, so let's more specifically talk about the role of HEC Pakistan in TTS. So what I will discuss, this text is taken from HEC website. This is the currently applicable point for discussion. So HEC will provide separate funding for TTS. That is the difference between BPS and the TTS salary. So in current amendments made in September meeting in 2020, they have made some changes to the proportion of how much money will be paid by HEC and how much host university will bear the expenses for TTS faculty. So they made some changes in. But what I'm sharing with you is this text is available on the HEC website, which is currently applicable. And then general guidelines of model tenure track statutes are also available on HEC website with respect to tenure track system. And you can always refer to seeking information about TTS on this website. While the appointment of assistant professor, associate professor, and full professor made by the university's institutions, HEC endorsement will be required on prescribed pro forma available at website. Only initial appointment requires HEC endorsement. That means that if you want to hire some faculty members on assistant professor level, so HEC endorsement will be required once you complete the internal hiring procedure, and then the case will be forwarded to HEC and they will endorse the appointment. Then university should maintain all record documentary evidences of information provided through these performers. So this is a complete application dossier. When any hiring is made on TTS, there's a complete application form. It's a detailed form which requires information about your CV, your degree qualifications, your HEC equivalent certificates, academic documents, then your teaching experience, your research publications, grants, and any other industry-related experience. All these are recorded, and that is why universities have to maintain all the record for all these applicants, because this is audited later on by HEC when you send as a university, and when you recommend the case for the promotion, HEC will audit all those documents accordingly. A detailed process SOPs in this record is attached in Annex B on the website of HEC. So please note that for further information regarding TDS, HEC website may please be visited under the caption tenure track statute. So this is the keyword. If you want to know the specific information on HEC website, please search these keywords, tenure track statutes, and you will be able to find out the document. I have downloaded those documents and I will share with your team, and if you want, you can directly download it from HEC website. All right, so any questions so far? Because I want the audience to be engaged. Otherwise, it feels like that I'm talking to some screen only.
From my side, no, but if anyone asks to have any question, it seems interesting because there is a fear that most of the PhD faculty go for a permanent or other system apart from that.
Yeah,
But
I can
think so
understand
TTS
that
is very
in public sector universities, people tend to go for basic pay scale. So, and it's also the routine, because people mostly follow their seniors, what are they doing. So, and most of the time, newly established universities, they are not fully aware about how to utilize this option, because HEC provides the funds. So it keeps less burden on the budgets generated by the universities, and it makes them more sustainable to hire more highly qualified faculty on TTS, because major portion of their salary is borne by HEC. So it is less burdened on the budget of host university. So that is why it is highly attractive for both individuals as well as the university administration as well. So when anybody interested in joining us, so most of the time they are offered that, would you like to join on TTS? And most of the faculty members, because they have the basic awareness and they are given the brief information about it, so they tend to join on TTS. So that's why I mentioned that more than 200 faculty members recently, in the past 5 years, they joined on TTS in NUST. All right, so TTS process, how it works, we can have a look on it. So it's a simple process, but the documents are detailed ones. As I mentioned that when I joined, I have gone through all these hectic processes. So because it is audited by HEC, these documents are critical. This information is highly important to be kept by the host university, because whenever they submit the case for the promotion, HEC team will definitely audit all those documents. And if there is any discrepancy, promotion will not be endorsed by HEC. And this has happened literally in Pakistan. Some of the faculty members promoted at Islamic International University, Islamabad, they have been demoted by HEC because of these discrepancies. So we have to follow these checklists. Standard procedures are there. If we just follow step by step, there won't be any problem in future. So first of all, there's appointment. First positions are advertised, and people apply, and then once they are interviewed in the selection board, they are invited to join on TTS. So this is how it works at NUST. So I will explain most relevant information how it works at NUST, so it might be useful for other universities and also for Women University Multan as well. So when anybody wants to join on TTS, what they need to do is there is a prescribed application form provided by HEC, and it lists down all the required documents. Because this is the entry-level position at assistant professor level, so what you need to provide is the letter of references from your PhD supervisor, as well as other prominent researchers in Pakistan or abroad and who are specialized in your area. And then you need to provide the evidence document. If you list down that you have 5 years of industry experience, you need to provide the appointment letters or the evidence that you have had 5 years employment before. So all these evidences will be attached with this application. So if you have published papers in international peer-reviewed journals, so you need to provide the soft copies of the published papers. And similarly, if you have secured some research grants in your career, so it is also a significant point with your application. Why these evidences are collected? Because if someone has entry-level position and have not published any paper, have not secured any grant, do not have any experience in academia or industry, anything, only they have a PhD certificate with them and without any teaching experience, they will be offered only the basic salary of TTS. So as I mentioned before, that TTS package is calculated when you join. It is a basic salary plus 4 increments, and those 4 increments are given against some experiences, some publications, some grants. So if you tick all those requirements, then you can have a maximum of 4 increments, and each increment is around 8,000 plus amount. So altogether, 35,000 in terms of 4 increments and 130,000 in terms of basic salary altogether will be your first salary if you join on TTS as assistant professor, and if you meet all the requirements for those increments. So this is how you need to prepare the application along with the evidences so that you meet the requirement for increments, and then your salary package will be decided on evaluation of this application. So this application is internally recommended by the department, and then it is submitted to the main office, HR of the university, host university, and then they evaluate and they check all the evidences. And if there is something missing, they will ask the applicants to please provide before the selection board. So once application is complete, it is submitted to your main hiring unit, which is mostly HR at main office in the university. And then they evaluate and they further submit the case to selection board. So at NUST, normally we have 3 to 4 selection boards in each semester, like spring and fall every year. So this highly routine, and it's quite common to hire new faculty member every time at NUST, because there are a lot of new programs being introduced and it's a huge capacity, huge campus. So we keep on recruiting all the time. So it's quite open. Even if you see any job positions or on NUST website or not, people try to send their CVs to the head of departments and to the HR. So there are normally selection boards are going on. But I understand that for other public sector universities, it depends on their demand that how frequent their selection boards should be. So mostly 1 or 2 selection boards in a year for other public sector universities. So once the application is recommended internally, prepared by the applicant, then evaluated by the HR, it is submitted to selection board for consideration. So once selection board is done, then the case is submitted to HEC for further processing of the amount of the salary package. So normally what happens is, I have heard a lot of stories, a different variation of stories and experiences in different universities. For example, I heard that in GC University, Faisalabad, the people who joined on TTS, they were being stopped for their salary in their account because the host university said that we will only provide you the salary if HEC releases the amount against your salary package. So normally HEC takes, once the case is submitted, HEC almost takes around 6 to 9 months. It depends on their June budget allocations by the federal government. But in other well-established universities such as NUST, there's no such problem. What we do is at NUST, we hire the faculty member on TDS, and then we keep paying the salary package as agreed in the selection board on TDS for the faculty. And if the amount is released by HEC, even after 8 to 9 months, the faculty member is being paid before. So if there is any discrepancy between the arrears and the amount released by HEC, it is adjusted by the main office. So there's no such problem that there is any stoppage of salary for those who join on TDS. So it's a simple process. So I just recap this process. So applicants who join on TDS, they need to complete application form along with evidences of different experiences, research papers, grants, teaching experience, industry experience, and then that application is submitted to HR of the host university, and then they evaluate, they check the documents. If they are fine, then this case is submitted to selection board, and selection board, once they decide that yes, we want to hire this faculty member on TDS, the case is submitted to HEC Pakistan, and the joining date is considered from the selection board date, right? So even if HEC approves the case after 9 months, the joining date will be the selection board date for the TDS. This is how it works at NAST. All right, so there is a timeline. So if you join on assistant professor, the entry-level position, I will explain it, that there are 6 years to go. You have to map all the requirements for these 6 years, right? So if you divide, you set your goals from the starting point, this 1 point, till the 6th year, the final year of evaluation for your tenure, to get tenured. So you have to map down that how you will be able to achieve the targets of this tenure. So first of all, awareness is a must for all the faculty members. Just do not follow your university, what they say to you. I haven't seen any single employer in Pakistan, because employee relations is my area of research. I haven't seen a single employer in Pakistan, those who ask their employees to map your career objectives. They will always assign you tasks. Okay, you have joined on TTS, you will be evaluated after 6 years, that's it. Nothing more will be advised. How you are going to achieve, you have to figure it out. This is a lonely journey, as it is mentioned in PhD, that the PhD is a lonely journey. You have to do it by yourself, right? So there will be mentors, guides, supervisors, but at the end of the day, it's your work and you have to achieve it. So if you look into the starting point till the end point, the starting point is that you joined, let's say in February 2016, I joined on TDS. So it is not just the matter of signing the documents that I'm going to join this faculty position on TTS package. No, there's a lot more to do on this package. You have to know the requirements. So when I started figuring out that what are the requirements there, because if I have joined on TDS, what I should do on this job. So I went to the HR office find out some relevant documents. And then I also visited HEC website, downloaded all the TTS related material, started reading in it. So I quickly find out that there are some attractive points for this package. For example, if I want to get promoted to associate professor, it will take 4 years. And if I meet the 4 years requirement, that's fine. It's highly attractive. So I started working out that there are 10 Q1 papers required for fast track promotion on TTS. Then you have to supervise some 10 MS students, and then you have to supervise 1 or 2 PhD students. And then there are 1.5 million research grants that you have to secure during these 4 years. So I was highly motivated that I have to achieve this target. But when I started, eventually, all of the things are not under your control. This is what I find out. So I will explain those experiences with you as well, what happened with me when I started, that this is my vision. I have to achieve my targets within 4 years. So I mapped down that at least 2 papers per year I have to publish if I want to get tenure in 6 years' time. And then also other requirements such as what I will be doing extra mile during these 4 years to achieve the fast track as well. So if you join on TTS, remember, time flies like an arrow. Right? There are things in your control. There are things not under your control. So you have to figure it out how to make it happen. Right? So if you keep bit by bit every year, I have seen a lot of faculty members around me that they haven't planned anything. They just joined on TTS and now they are suffering after 5 years because they have not published at all anything. They are into 5th year and they have not published. So now they are rushing towards it. And when you rush towards something, you may not be able to achieve it. There are chances that you will miss out. So once you complete these targets every year, slowly and gradually, you end up with 6 years. And after 6 years, you will be promoted to associate professor. So it seems quite a lot of time, but when you start doing it, it will be like an arrow, right? So not going back anything. So you have to do everything on timely manners. So you have to plan out how you are going to map your tenure. All right, so moving on to our next session, which is next part, which is why joining TTS? What is the motivation in it? All right. The motivation is that you will be able to plan your research, you will be able to plan your teaching, you will be able to plan your services. So in Western world, when you join, you are given a very straightforward and clear role. That is how much percentage you are required to do research, how much on teaching, and how much your services. So altogether, a faculty member is required to do 3 basic components of academic position. Let's say if there is a 40% research, which is equivalent to 1 impact factor research paper per year. And then 60%, if we say, or 40% we say teaching, then that is around 9 credit hours worth courses during whole year. And then 10 or 20% remaining part, which is the services. Let's say you will be given a task of a program head, you will be given a task to design curriculum for certain new degree program at undergrad or postgrad level. You will be given some tasks to develop some policy documents for the university or for your department, right? So you will be given a task to design a new course, right? So you will be given a task to become the head of department or the dean for the school. So these are the different services that you have to carry out on behalf of your academic position for your university and department. So these are the attractive points that your bits of the tasks divided into key components, which make your faculty profile highly attractive and sellable and marketable for rest of the employers. So nowadays, I tell you what, those people who are from natural sciences, they are completely not aware about how employer relations research is going into different direction. In the past, uh, people tend to be loyal to their universities, and that is why they were more into job security thing, and more into pensionable jobs and stuff like that, and more into routine sort of job where a complacency mode is prominent, right? So you have routine tasks, no such attractive targets, no such initiatives. I would say some sort of almost nearer, not exactly, but almost nearer to that words in our organizational behavior research that we call it. This is the term where people are doing either satisfactory work or unsatisfactory work, but they are still employed. So that is the term called dead word in organizational studies. But most of the time, there are exceptional cases as well. So I'm not truly saying that other forms of salary packages for academic positions are entirely dead wood, but it seems like as a whole, because we have seen the statistics that have been collected throughout the country. HEC took this initiative that we want to compare that how BPS faculty has performed over the last 10 years and how TTS faculty has performed. They wanted to have the comparison, and when they compared it, TTS faculty has a huge research output as compared to the BPS throughout the country. So this is the fact. I'm talking about the statistics that have been collected and analyzed by HEC. So because TTS faculty is more targeted towards research output, as we have seen here, because they have to do more of research, less of a teaching. So that is why their research output is obviously higher than the BPS. But in BPS, there are certain teaching rules, and they have to follow that accordingly. All right. So these are the three highly attractive components. And a couple of years ago, I introduced a workload allocation model at NUST Business School. So that policy generated a lot of positive outcomes out of this policy. This policy was about that we have to divide and set targets for our faculty in terms of research, in terms of teaching, how much teaching each faculty is going to do. And you can see that not all faculty members are good researchers and not all faculty members are good teachers. So in that case, we need to see the balance between our hired people, because we have to carry our work throughout the coming years on the basis of the faculty that we have. So we have, once we have hired, I strongly believe that when you hire someone, you have already tested them. You should trust them, and then you should never test them. So this is what I also shared my quote on LinkedIn as well. I have some 11,000 followers on LinkedIn, and where I occasionally share these employer related quotations, and then I receive a lot of positive comments from the audience as well. So I strongly believe that you should test your employees at the time of hiring, then never test them again. You should trust them. So once you have a combination of good teachers and good researchers, you have to give them tasks accordingly. So if somebody says, okay, I'm a good teacher, I want to teach, in that case, you should persuade them, that you should motivate them that this is what it is, that if your teaching is not backed by research, then you will not be able to become a good teacher. So you have to see what recently going on in research, how the direction is going ahead in your domain, what is new coming out, what is the future, what is going on in next coming 2-3 years time, where your domain is going to end up in next 5-10 years. We have to look into this. That's why you have to do some of the teaching, most of the teaching and some of the research. So in that case, we will say, let's say that if you teach 2 courses per semester, you have to publish 1 impact factor paper at least in a year. So this is how I have balanced workload allocation model for our NUST Business School faculty. And then if somebody says, I'm a good researcher, I'm active researcher, I have already a lot of good publications in pipeline, so I would love to take on the research role predominantly. So in that case, we will increase the target of research output and reduce the target of the teaching load. So let's say if a faculty says that, okay, I want to teach one course per semester. In that case, we will require 3 research paper, impact factor research papers per year from that faculty. And then it's not the matter of just giving them the targets, it's the matter that how you are going to evaluate their performance. So we have given a good reasonable time to all the faculty members that your performance will be regularly evaluated and the outcome will be after 3 years. So academic faculty cannot be evaluated for their performance per year. They should be given a reasonable time of 3 years with the targets, and then you see the output that how it is working ahead, how it is aligned with the objectives and the mission of your department and your university. Is it achieving the targets that you have set down in first year? How is it look like that after 3 years? What is going on with the performance of that individual, right? So if you balance out these research and teaching load for your faculty, you will be able to achieve significant targets at the end. And if you want to compare with those universities who have no idea that how to allocate the work for the faculty appropriately, then they are lagging behind. I would not say the race, but it is how it is that there's a competition out there. So if you want to compete, you want to improve the stature of your university, definitely you have to take part in all those ranking competitions, such as QS World Ranking. So if you look at NUST for the last 4 years consecutively is #1 university in Pakistan. Why? Because we have significantly set down the targets for each and every faculty member that if your strength lies in teaching, you will be given the teaching load more. And if your strength lies in research, you will be highly motivated and promoted and persuaded for research load. So in that case, if you balance out the whole faculty in a department, you will be able to see significant output at the end of the year, right? So these are some motivational points for the TTS. All right, before we move on to the tips for the survival and thriving kit and how it worked for me as a tenure track faculty member, I would like to stop here and give you a short task. I don't want any answers for that, but if all of the participants, if you have like anything to note down, I would like to share a document. It is a short task. It will also give us a break as well, because I should not be talking too much, because research says that if you continuously talk for 20 minutes, 21st minute will be diminished for the learning, and people will not be as much active listeners as much they started in the first minute. So I want to make it effective for the audience as well. So I need to stop, and if there's any questions so far, please, we can have 1 or 2 questions, and then I will move to the task. Am
So
I
if
audible?
someone wants to ask question, please. Dr. Shazia, okay.
Assalamu
Okay,
alaikum.
Walaikum
Assalamu
assalam.
alaikum. Sir, I want to ask about if someone is on BPS as assistant professor and move to on TTS and vice versa. Is it possible?
Yes, it is possible, and there is a proper transition procedure for the seniority, how to determine the seniority for the BPS and the TTS. It's quite well detailed in the documents mentioned in the statutes, TTS statutes available on HEC website.
Okay,
I will
sir.
share
Thank you.
those documents, so please have a look, and you can have, if you still have question, you can ask Dr. Maryam, and or you can directly contact me about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, if anyone want to ask, they can raise hand. I think there is no one to ask
No
a
problem, no
question
problem. I
except
can
this.
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand. Let's find out this exercise, and let me share this document. So this will be a good preparatory option for those who are interested in joining TTS, because they will be able to complete their application dossier if they follow this exercise.
Okay.
All right, so is it new share? Can you see
Yes.
this Word document, please? Yeah,
Yes.
it has two tables, two parts. The first part is about the material that you can collect at your own. For example, you need to develop your curriculum vitae, that is your CV. Then you need to write down a teaching statement. What is your teaching philosophy? How you want to interact with your students, and how you take on the learning process during teaching. And this is how you will be writing your teaching statement. And then a research statement, that how you intend to carry out research, what are your expertise, what you are capable to do in doing research, and then how you see yourself in next 2 to 5 years, what you have planned out, that what you will be doing in next 2 years or 5 years time. So this is how you will be writing your research statement. And then recommendation letters from your PhD supervisor or some other prominent researcher. It could be your co-authors, it could be your mentors in different universities around the globe, and it could be the field experts if you want to share your CV with them and they evaluate your CV and then they give you the letter of recommendation. And then finally, the cover letter, that why you want to join as academic faculty on TTS package. Then there will be some interview material. But this is how you need to carry out and complete the table 1 inventory if you want to join on TDS. You will be required to provide these documents. So I have mentioned that if you want to do, you will do it later, you have already drafted or you have already completed these documents, so you can have just tick in the relevant box if you want to complete the application dossier. And then this is the second table, which prompts for reflection about various aspects of your professional experience, such as it is divided into research, teaching, and strength. So first one is my top research contribution to date. For example, if you have completed your PhD in the last 2, 3, 4 years, during post PhD time, which work is your significant work, which has shown the high impact in research in the society, right? So you can claim that in here. And then a possible next step or new direction I might pursue. For example, there are people who might have worked in a different biotechnology related, but when they came to know about this pandemic, it has created a lot of opportunities. You might have turned your research area to develop a vaccine. So the professor which developed this vaccine at Oxford AstraZeneca Zeneca unit, and she was actually trained in some other bio related subjects, but she was inspired to develop vaccine on malaria. And then she eventually worked out and find out the RNA technique to develop this vaccine for COVID-19. So it happens, these opportunities, these changes provide us greater opportunities. So for many, this pandemic has created plenty of opportunities. So you can write down that if you want to make your interdisciplinary research, or you want to focus on your area of expertise, you can also write down it here. So next is ways I might involve students in my research program. Most of the time we have PhD students under supervision, MS students under supervision. So we can also carry out a different stream of research, uh, more or less nearer to our main expertise in research. So this also gives us the opportunity to extend our area of expertise. And then my teaching experience. So most of the time, fresh PhDs in Pakistan, they are hired without any teaching experience. So it's a sort of nursery for them when they start teaching. So in that case, if you are fresh with no teaching experience, I strongly recommend that you should go for attending some online teaching training programs. And I'm sure that your university must have organized some teacher training programs. At NUST, we have regular orientation program for all the new faculty members, and every new faculty member has to attend a week-long teacher training program. So they are trained with all the online tools and techniques, all the facilities available, what resources are provided as a teacher, and then how you can inculcate to students, how you deliver your lectures, how the difference is when you teach research-led teaching or some other components of teaching. So they are given a brief training. And if you are in UK, so you have to get a higher education HE affiliation, and that is based on some year-long postgraduate teaching program in higher education. So every faculty member, almost in the UK, they are trained teachers. But this trend is not as much as common in Pakistan. So most of the time, the universities also play the role of on-the-job training. So we try to develop the teaching skills during the job. So then courses I could teach, for example, if you have some expertise related to some of the domains under your expertise, so you can mention 2, 3, 4 courses here, that these are the potential courses that you can teach well. And then 3 words that describe me as a teacher, right? So these are the potential material that you can just work out. Some of the information you can just write down in this moment, that how you can do this, and then particular strength I can bring to a department or program. So it is not just hiring a faculty member for the sake of teaching only. You have to do a multiple role when you join in as a faculty. Most of the Pakistani employers, they do not realize this potential, how they can exploit and make best use of their employees for their organization, how they can align these faculty members to the objectives and missions and visions of the university and the organization as a whole, right? How you can carry on your departments to a significant level in the country or internationally, right? So we need to work out on these. So I think if I give you 5 minutes break, and if you can complete all these sections for your own sake, I will not require that you have to send it to me. It is just for the sake that you prepare yourself for this initiative. So if you just take 5 minutes and complete it as much as for yourself, it will also give us a chance of a break, and then I will start again. So Dr. Maryam, is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. And one of participant questions that, but now HEC trained all fresh PhD, like before joining IPFP, and they give the training how to teach, especially, after PhD, most of the PhD faculty members are unaware before, but now HEC has given sort of training to all fresh PhDs before joining any university. So what do
Yes,
you think about
they
it?
are.
Yeah.
Yes, they have started this new program, and there are some other departments working under HEC, like National Business Education Accreditation Council, which is working under the umbrella of HEC. They have developed a teacher training program for business schools in Pakistan. So they regularly offer how to teach business courses in Pakistan. And similarly, if there is such council for your discipline, like bioinformation, biotechnology, and bioethics related, so I have no idea that if there is any council and they are promoting such thing for the teacher training program, might be in collaboration with HEC or not, I'm not aware, but yes, there should be something. Business NBEAC has set a standard in the country, and they are following international standards to replicate in Pakistan. So for business, they have extensive teacher training program. But I wish that one day there might be some concept such as in UK. I have seen University of Chester, which was purely established in 1838 to train the teachers. This was the college to train the teachers for universities. So their education department is one of the best in the world. And what they do is they offer postgraduate certificates for early childhood education, secondary education, higher education. They offer different online and also on-campus teacher training programs. And there are other universities in UK as well. Now they offer online programs. So if somebody wants to obtain those certificates, they can also register with those universities, and 6 month, 9 months, and 1 year courses related to teacher training programs. So I wish that such model be replicated in Pakistan, and all the Pakistani universities, we have trained and qualified teachers. But this is not going to happen in near future, I can see, if to be honest and to be on the realistic side.
But I think that now HEC is more vigilant in that. And if I say about our university, we have attended a lot of training programs like this, not about research, but also how to improve the teaching skills. So I think we hope.
Yeah, this is getting
Yeah.
to a better direction. It is much better than having nothing, but there should be some more professional, like if you are a faculty member in UK, you cannot be a faculty member without such postgraduate training certificate. So everyone has to go through this process. But this should be a complementary in Pakistan. This should be provided from by some education universities. They should take this initiative to offer such 1 year long training program. There should be some higher education association like in UK, that everyone teaching at a university should be affiliated with HEA. So anyways, but I can see that this is going to in a good direction, and hopefully in near future we will definitely see something well established in that respect.
Yes, inshallah.
Mm.
So we are taking break of 5 minutes for
Yes,
completing.
please, because everybody will have a chance to complete this performer. Maybe should I send it to you, or they can just take note on their notebooks that if they keep a note like research, my topic, my top research contribution, just write down which one is your top contribution.
You can send to me, or the viewers can see on the screen as well, and they can write down.
Yeah, so the first table is that I will share it now. This is the first table. Or yeah. So there are two components: application material and then interview materials. So in application materials, CV, teaching statement, research statement, letter of recommendations, 2-3 letter of recommendations, and then cover letter. You just need to check that whether you have it already in hand, or you have drafted them and need to complete, or you have already completed. So then we can move on to the next part. Well, in interview talk, the participants will be interviewed about how they will see best fit with the intended employer, and you need to figure out that how you will be able to contribute to this cause. And then in teaching demonstration, you might be asked to give a lecture of 20-30 minutes to the faculty members, or the mix of students and faculty members, uh, like a demonstration, and then you will be given some internal recommendation. Then we move on to this preparation thing for application material. Oh, sorry, this one. The second table, which is about research, teaching, and strength. So here you can note down if you have anything in these blank options. So you will have idea that how you will be able to complete your application.
So this one seems interesting, that 3 words that describe me as a teacher. So I think we will ask to our participants as well.
Yes, you can ask them. It's good. We should realize uh, everybody has the potential. Everybody has the quality, right? So we just need to highlight that.
As you know that after online teaching, the teachers are really doing hard work to give an online lectures and prepare activity sessions and discussion sessions, and a lot of work apart from administrative work.
Yes, and I call it that the workload has become 3 times greater than the face-to-face working, because
Yes.
we have a lot of trouble from work from home. We have to compromise a lot of things. The family time is also compromised, because being online and being staying at home, not going to the campus, our university administration keep on sending us emails even in the nighttime. Last week I have received one email, office order at 1 a.m. in the midnight. So
Yes.
this is quite astonishing and shocking as well. We should not disturb the personal time as administrators, but when I was head of research, I never sent any email after 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. And I never interact with my faculty members before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. So, and no contact at all on weekends. So this is how it should be, because in the Western world, uh, the government has set down some regulations. In France, you cannot send email after 4 p.m. And in France, you cannot open your email after 4 p.m. So it's reciprocal. You have to follow as an employer and as employee as well. So if you check your email after 4 p.m., you will be questioned about it. What was the reason that you checked your email after 4 p.m.?
Wow. So is that so
Because
even after this COVID in France, it's still not allowed to?
yes.
Oh,
What they are doing is they are going to reduce the number of work hours. They say that it's enough to work continuously for 6 hours in a day. There's no need to work 9 to 5, because it's highly unproductive. This 9 to 5 was the industrial time when there was the manufacturing sector on peak. They wanted to have goods produced per hour. They set down this 9 to 5 working. This is not applicable for the services sector such as education, right? So we are just standardizing the things which were not meant for the services sector. And in New Zealand, they have experimented on some 25 organizations, 4 days a week working, and which is highly successful. It increased their productivity. It increased the individual performance as well as the group performance, as well as the organizational performance. So why we are not considering to change this, the traditional and conservative time, from 9 to 5, Monday till Saturday, Monday till Friday, is no sense in that.
One member wants to ask something. Yes, Dr. Raila.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
Welcome to Women University Multan.
Virtually, thank you.
Sir, well, it's a great and a very positive explanation of TTS. Rather, as it's in number of public university, the explanation of TTS is very scary. But sir, my question is, as you have mentioned in your talk, that must try to balance the teaching and research output among their faculty. But
Yes.
if there is scarcity of faculty in any department of any university, and there is a lot of work to do about teaching and research too, then what would you suggest that how can the quality be promised?
Well, in that case, we really need to work out that what strength we have. We need to calculate the workload allocation on the basis of the programs that we offer. How many programs do we have in the individual department? Do we have all the faculty members, the courses that we offer per semester, or we have to seek some visiting faculty? Because in Pakistan, visiting faculty is a compromise on the basis of regular education, right?
So
We
fine.
do not, yeah.
Yes.
So in
So
that
fine.
case, if we have a low number of individual faculty members,
So
I
your
think
voice.
there is a
if we
signal
keep low
issue.
number of programs,
Okay.
then we can definitely balance out the firms, and we do not have the faculty, so it's definitely compromise it.
So, okay, fine. But most of the time, the universities allow the visiting faculty only at that time when they said that the existing faculty should take the workload according to the defined by the QEC or the HEC. And HEC is defining that the workload of assistant professors should be 9 credits per semester. And
Hmm.
would you think that the 9 credit hours per semester is could be balanced with a lot of quality research?
No, in that case, we are not only compromising the teaching quality, we will also not providing sufficient
Oh,
time to do
obviously,
research. Yes.
obviously.
So what I mentioned is that for a standard role as assistant professor, we have offered 2 courses per semester, that is equivalent to 6 credit hours for each faculty member, along with 1 research paper per year. So in social sciences, it is difficult to publish as compared to the natural sciences or some lab-based experimental research that is more frequent to publish. That is why we have tried to stick to just one, so that we are not pursuing the quantity, but we are pursuing the quality with not compromising teaching as well as research. So similarly, in your case, if you have a natural sciences based, research based, lab based department where lab work is also required for not only teaching as well as research, in that case, you can also balance out the teaching, whether it is 2 courses per semester or even 1 course per semester, along with significant lab hours as well as the supervision for the students, and then 2 or 3 papers at the end of the year. So
Yes, sir.
it
So
depends.
even
Yeah.
that, thank you so much. So even that in most of university, the recruiting requirements are evaluated on the basis of that. If there is a need to balance the workload, and the workload is balanced, again I'm saying that workload is again balanced by dividing the workload of 9 credits per
Hmm, hmm. Definitely.
assistant professor, even 2, and
Yeah.
assistant professor and lecturer, they are given 9 credits per year. and then they evaluate
Sorry,
that
per
if
year or per
sorry
semester?
per semester, sorry,
Yes,
per semester.
yes. Because
And
if it
even
is per
that,
year, this is
no,
sufficient.
no, sorry, no, per semester.
Yeah.
And even after that, they evaluate that if it is not getting the requirement, then they will recruit. Then you are eligible to give application to hire or to recruit assistant professor or any lecturer in your department.
Hmm. Yeah, this is quite
Actually
common practice.
this is yes, actually this is the disastering factors that are not giving the quality of research in number of universities too.
Yes, there are universities which give a workload of 4 courses of 3 credit hours each per semester, which is humanly impossible. At that time, you are compromising the quality of teaching, as well as not providing a single hour for researcher to focus on their research. You need to have plenty of thinking time, creativity time, to think about your
Yes,
creative ideas, to extend the existing literature. This is not possible if you do not provide sufficient time for research.
exactly.
And but we are comfortable at NUST because we offer 2 courses, and even active researchers. I just taught 7 weeks teaching in this fall semester, and we are into 9th week now in fall semester, and my teaching is over now because I
Wow.
was assigned 1 course in this semester. Because of my research load, I am supervising 4 PhD students, 10 MS students, and I'm responsible for NAST Business Review as well. I have to publish 2 issues in this month. So it's a rigorous review process going on. So my workload is massive, but that is why my teaching is balanced against it. So I just taught research methods to my MS students in this semester for 7 weeks. That's it. So I'm quite comfortable now doing and have plenty of time to think about. And that is why I was able to deliver this session to Women University. If I was teaching 2, 3 courses, I couldn't have said yes to this session.
Yes, sir, exactly. And one thing I will add more, that there is a lot of potential in most of the BPS teachers too. But sometimes these type of factors, they are
Yes,
actually
there
pushing them back to give
are
their quality.
to be complacent and just follow the routine. So it is the system that is to be cursed, because they are not getting the maximum out of the faculty, either on BPS or the TTS. So please give me 2 minutes. So there's Azan in the
Yeah, yeah,
background.
yeah.
So and
Yes,
then I will talk again. Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
Hey, welcome back, and I hope you all have you are all done with your task, and now we can move on with the routine lecture. That was rest of the part that we have to All right, welcome back. And now we can move on to our main topic. I think we are running short of time. So one thing I need to confirm, am I audible?
Yes, please proceed.
And the screen is shared?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, I will quickly explain that how it worked for me as a tenure track faculty. I joined NAS Business School in February 2016 on 2nd of February, and from 23rd of February, I was moved from contractual position to TTS because of the selection board that was right after my joining. So I quickly started figuring out that what are the requirements that I have joined TTS. Before joining TTS, I have absolutely no clue about what it is, right? And then I downloaded all the documents available on the HEC website. It has some documents related to SOPs, appointment and promotion criteria, all these related documents. I quickly find out that these are the targets. This is how I need to achieve those set targets. So first of all, you should know the expectations out of you as a TTS faculty. And that is let down on the basis that whether you are joining on assistant professor, associate professor, or the full professor. What are the requirements? You have to make a checklist. And then relevant information from your university as well, because procedures are different in different universities. HEC provides its own related SOPs, but on and above, there are some host universities which have their own regulations of hiring and how they evaluate the performance of every individual on TTS. So you not only need to know the expectations from the HEC side, but also your university. What do they expect from you? You need to collect all the relevant information and then map out the progress that, as I mentioned in the timelines slide, that what you are going to achieve at the end of first year, second year, third year, because after third year on your TTS tenure, you have to submit a mid-review report. And in mid-review report, you have a certain requirements, the minimum bottom line to meet, and that you should have taught courses in the last 3 years, and you should have published at least 4 papers for social sciences, and then I have no idea, but about natural sciences or engineering. Overall, there is a requirement that for social sciences, 10 publications, for engineering, 15, and for natural sciences, it's 20 in 6 years. So you can divide those requirements into the bits of every year, and then you can set out your own target, right? And then you need to figure out that how to successfully get tenured. What are the requirements that are directly under my control? And what are the requirements that are not under my control? For example, you can write down the paper, submit to the journal, but the review process is not under your control, right? Your paper may not be reviewed for the last 8 months, and you might receive the first decision after 1 year. And then you might receive major revisions after 1 year. What you are going to do with those major revisions, and if those major revisions are not doable or impossible to incorporate the changes, then you have to go back, revise the whole document, and again submit as a new submission to some other journal. So in that case, you have missed the shot that you targeted, that within this year I would have published that paper, but this is rejected now. So you need to keep in mind that you will keep on writing the papers. You have to figure out that how these are going to be accepted, how many are going to be rejected. So you need to keep in mind that there might be some desk rejections. Desk rejections are quite normal for full professors in the Western world as well. So it's not just about the junior faculty, it is about the senior faculty as well. They are facing this phenomenon. So in that case, you need to balance out that at least you try to work on projects on and above the number of papers required from you during this tenure. So in my case, 10 papers were required. So I set my target that I have to submit 10 papers in the first 2 years. And then I will see how many, because in social sciences, on an average, 1.5 years is the complete submission to acceptance time duration on an average. So I said that in 2 years, I have to submit 10 research papers, and then I will see how many are published in 3rd year, 4th year, and so on. And in that case, I set the target because I came across that there was a fast track promotion option for assistant professor by HEC, where you have to publish 10 papers in Q1 category journals. In 4 years, you have to obtain 1.5 million grant, and you have to supervise MS and PhD students, and then you will be able to achieve the fast track promotion within 4 years. But I missed only one point, which was Q1 category journal. I just read the document carelessly, and I thought there 10 paper, if I publish in impact factor, I will be able to process the fast track promotion in 4 years. But when the 4th year started for me, I visited HEC and I discussed with the quality consultant and also some directors that how about these requirements of 4-year fast track. So they were shocked that you have missed out a main point, which is you have to publish 10 papers in Q1 category journal, not just only the impact factors, but those should be Q1 category journal. So if you want to figure out the Q1, what is Q1, you can go to the Web of Science by Clarivate Analytics, and they offer Science Citation Index and Social Science Citation Index that we follow, SSCI, but in your case, it is Science Citation Index. So you can find out that different subject categories have been divided, and then on the percentile basis, that how many journals fall in that subject category. The first 25% are Q1, the second 25% are Q2, the third 25% are Q3, and the fourth 25% are the Q4 category journals. So altogether, impact factor journals are divided on the subject categories into percentiles of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you can find out the Q1 category journals. So when I came to know that after 4th year, I have to publish Q1 category journal, because it is difficult in social sciences. I have no idea whether it is that much difficult in natural sciences. So then I revised myself. My midterm review was highly successful because I was beyond the requirement of 4 papers. I have published 6 papers in my midterm review after 3 years. All of those were impact factor. Some of them were Q1, and most of them were Q2. And then I revised that now I have to complete the requirements for the 6-year tenure progress that I have to complete after the midterm. Again, I have to complete 3 years. And this period is tenure track period. Once you successfully complete midterm review of 3 years and the second 3-year term, then you are called tenured professor, tenured position of your next cadre, right? So if I evaluate my progress, I have completed 70% of my requirement within the midterm review. So because I carefully planned for each year that how I am going to achieve the targets that I have set down, then because of those proper planning, I was able to achieve 70% of the progress in my midterm review. And then after 5 years, 100% requirement is complete for me. And now all I need to do is I have to wait for next 6 months that my case for promotion will be submitted to HEC. So once you complete 5.5 years on tenure track, your case can be submitted to HEC for consideration. And once the 6 years are completed, you will be promoted to associate professor with HEC endorsement, right? So it is all about the careful planning that you will do on the basis of your joining, appointment, and promotion criteria. Right, and then how to be strategic. So these are the tips for survival, and I would say this is not just about survival, it is also about thriving. How you can not only survive but also thrive when you join on TTS. How you can carefully plan for your tenure, right? So success along the tenure track requires more than hard work and long hours. Here I will discuss the experiences I'm having during my tenure track into the collection of tips to assist others along the path. So first one is that what are the targets to achieve? You have to set down, you should know the reality that what are the targets, what are the requirements, what is the relevant information, and what you have to achieve when you have accepted your job as TTS, right? And what you achieve at the end. You should know the starting point and the end point. And the end point is that you will be tenured to the next cadre, which is associate professor. And if you join as associate professor, you will be promoted after 4 years to full professor if you meet the requirements, right? And then the second one is keep learning. You know, no one is perfect. Learning lasts till the last breath of your life, right? So we are all learning throughout this process. So keep learning. As I mentioned, my experience that I set down that if I able to publish 10 papers, I will be able to get the fast track promotion after 4 years. But it was not the case because I just missed one tiny element, which was Q1 category journal papers. So that is why I have to now look forward to the 6 years of tenure process, right? So I have to learn throughout this process and then move forward that how I will be able to achieve the targets at the end. And number third is reality of the job. So there is always success is the surprising result. For example, as I mentioned that I have to submit 10 papers in first 2 years, and then I will see how many are accepted, how many are rejected, how I should move forward, what I need to do, how many projects I need to take on in next 2-3 years, so that I am able to achieve the progress of my tenure. So most shots will be missed. So you have to calculate the shots done and the shots missed. So the time for rejections, revisions, review process, everything you have to calculate carefully so that you can achieve the target of your required publications during this tenure without compromising the research quality, right? And then establish your work ethics. You have to set down the rules and regulations for your work ethics and also your lab work, right? The culture and spirit of your lab group is ultimately set by you. How, what, when, and where. You need to set down the time for yourself. You will be given, as Dr. Rahila mentioned, that there are occasionally and normally huge workloads. Apart from the teaching, you have been assigned administrative roles, you have been assigned massive list of student supervisions. So in that case, how you are going to manage your work ethics? So if you keep 1 or 2 hours every day for your research, then you will be able to set down that you will be able to achieve the target significantly. So if you do not set the time, you do not ask questions to yourself, how, what, when, and where, you won't be able to achieve the target. So this is the tip, that you need to address these questions for yourself. How, what, when, and where. And then this is the most critical point for all the junior faculty members. I would suggest that if you have not established your network of research teams, you should do that on the top priority. I still remember that moment when shortly after starting, I was alone in my office and lab. You know, when I joined TDS, uh, I was given an office and it was all alone. And then I started a new lab for data analysis workshops. And that lab was also, it's a lonely journey. So in that case, I have to set up, connect with the people, relevant and important people in your discipline. So I contacted the people that I regularly cite in my research. And believe me, if you try to send them emails, they are more willing and more cooperative than your expectations. So for the first research paper, I tried to map out different cited authors in my reference list, and I sent 40 emails and almost received 10 responses quickly after the email. And out of those 10 responses, 5 were highly positive. And out of those 5, I selected 2 professors, and I'm still working with them for the last 6 years. I have published around 4 papers with them during these 6 years, and they are my strong reference for recommendations wherever I need. So you need to set up your network of research groups across the globe, because this is quite common now. This is the global time frame, and we are operating globally. If you just try, you have done some work, you have idea which you feel this is going to have a real impact because of your research idea, then you should definitely contact some of the prominent scholars in different countries, different top universities, and you will definitely receive a good response. Do believe that if you send like 40, 50 emails, then you might receive 2, 3, 4 responses, and that is still fine. Even if you get out of this exercise, just get one professor as a long-lasting network, then this is going to be highly productive for you, right? So you have to establish a network. If I tell you about myself, in the last 5 years, I have published research papers with more than 30 different research scholars in different regions, like in Asia, Europe, and USA, right? North America. So in these regions, I have published with more than 30 research scholars, and all of those are really good to cooperate, and it created a lot of opportunities for me. If they need, if they have some grant opportunity and they want some scholar from Pakistan, so they will definitely contact you. So it always gives great land of opportunities if you try to establish your network. And then be bold and take risks. There is risk because you need simultaneously to manage scientific productivity with the daring to attempt feats never before attempted. For example, if you have not published impact factor paper before, if you try to publish, there will be a chance that that is accepted or rejected. So you have to get ready for that. So you be bold and try to take risks. And some of which might fail. Those initiatives are not all of them going to be successful. So some of them might be failed, some of them might be successful. So if you are tunneled in your area of research and you are specific to limited number of courses that you teach, you have to dare out. You have to take risk of relevant field to develop some interdisciplinary skills in your research, and that will open up new opportunities for you as a researcher, as a scholar, and as a TTS faculty member. I will give you experience of one of my co-author. He was a lecturer at University of Bolton in UK, and then next year he moved to University of Salford in Manchester, and then after serving 2-3 years at Salford Business School, he moved on to one of the top business schools in UK, that is Warwick Business School in Coventry. this transition, most people were shocked that how come a faculty member from a highly low ranked university to extremely top university, right? So this was because that he took risk, that he was trained in psychology, organizational psychology, then moved on to human resource management at Salford, and then he had master's level research in entrepreneurial activities, imagination. So he added all these skills together and applied for a position which required some interdisciplinary research interest at Warwick Business School. And because of his previous experiences and the risk he was taking, he was able to get a position at a top ranked business school in the world, that is Warwick Business School. And now he has been contacted by many top universities such as Oxford, Said Business School, then Imperial College London Business School, and King's College London. So they invite him for some visiting courses, they invite him for some research grants participation and some other visiting scholar activities. You have to be bold, you have to take risks, you have to revise yourself, you have to find out opportunities around you, the relevant, realist, and nearest opportunities for you. This will definitely help you out in becoming more successful on tenure track. And again, going back to the basic, to number one, this 7th point is achieve the vision. Remember, on the first year joining time, I said that you have to set a starting point and the end point. A starting point is joining as TTS faculty member, and end point is after 6 years getting the tenured position. And this is highly attractive, highly respectable, highly recognized, highly recommended. There are not many people out there who are tenured professors in Pakistan. So if you get this recognition, you will be known in the country as well as globally. So you have to make yourself marketable all the time. Do not just stick to what you are doing currently. Try to move beyond the box. Think beyond the box. What is in the circle that you are living in and what is out of the box, right? एक कलाम है शाह हुसैन का, तो मेरे लिए तो बड़ा इंस्पायरिंग है. डेफिनेटली इट विल बी इंस्पायरिंग फॉर अदर्स एज वेल. हद हद जाए हर कोई, अनहद जाए न कोई, हद अनहद के बीच में राह कबीरा सोए. वो जो सक्सेस है ना, वो हद और अनहद के बीच में है. हम नॉर्मली अपनी लाइफ को बड़ा एक्सट्रीमली राइट और लेफ्ट ले जाते हैं, लेकिन देयर इज समथिंग which is beyond our knowledge. We have been told something, but there is something reality out there as well. It is our responsibility to know that reality, right? So you have to achieve the vision that you set out at the very first point of entering as TTS faculty member. Right, I think we have utilized beyond our set time, 1.5 hours. I sat down for the whole session and then some 30 minutes for Q&A. And I think we can now move on to the Q&A.
So thank you so much. It's in fact very interesting that time passes so quickly and we don't
flies
realize.
like an arrow. As you
Yeah.
said. Yes.
So if any faculty member want to ask any question or guidance, so please ask in the chat box or you can raise hand. एक्चुअली बात यही है कि अपनी आपको कहते हैं ना पहचाने, हम अपने लेवल्स और अपनी हद को नहीं पहचानते कि स्काई इज द लिमिट. तो जब तक खुद को नहीं पहचानेंगे कि हमारी कितनी अल्लाह मियां ने कैपेबिलिटीज रखी हैं, तो उसको तो फिर करना पड़ता है ना एक्सप्लोर. तो काफी कोशिश
देखिए
के
जी,
साथ
मेरी जो जर्नी है, सेल्फ मेड पर्सन अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, और अल्लाह ताला का बड़ा खास करम है. कॉलेज डेज में ही मुझे कुछ ऐसी इंस्पायरिंग कोटेशंस ने मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा इंस्पायर किया. जैसे वन ऑफ द कोटेशन आई ऑलवेज फॉलो, देयर इज always see the sunshine, you can never see the shadow.
Yes.
इट वाज सो कॉमन। मैंने जब इसको पढ़ा तो मुझे इतना अपील नहीं किया, लेकिन जब इसका बैकग्राउंड मुझे पता लगा कि ये एक नाबीना औरत ने ये स्टेटमेंट लिखी है, हेलन केलर, शी रोट दिस
Okay.
स्टेटमेंट, कि एक नाबीना शख्स अगर ये कह सकता है तो हमें तो अल्लाह ताला ने बीना बनाया हुआ है।
जी।
ठीक है, तो ऑलवेज सी द सनशाइन इवन इफ यू वांट टू सी द शैडो। अगर आप ऑलवेज सी द सनशाइन के ट्रैक पे हैं, इवन इफ यू वांट टू सी द शैडो, आप नहीं देख पाएंगे, अंधेरा नहीं आपको नजर आएगा। और दूसरी कोटेशन है which is in fact from आयत करीमा from कुरान, लैसा लिल इंसाना इल्ला मासा, इंसान को वही कुछ मिलता है जिसकी वो कोशिश करता है। इफ यू
बिल्कुल।
स्ट्रांगली बिलीव कि अगर आपने, क्योंकि मैं आपको अपनी जर्नी बताऊं कि ड्यूरिंग पीएचडी आई वाज द ओनली इंटरनेशनल स्टूडेंट जिसने अपनी फील्ड के टॉप जर्नल में पेपर पब्लिश किया था। तो वो इसलिए था कि मैंने टारगेट सेट किया था कि मैंने पीएचडी में एक पेपर ऐसा पब्लिश करना है जो अपनी फील्ड में टॉप जर्नल में होगा, और वो सेट किया तो वो मिला। तो उसके पीछे बैकग्राउंड में ये आयत थी, लैसा लिल इंसाना इल्ला मा सा, इंसान को वही कुछ मिलता है जिसकी वो कोशिश करता है। तो मैंने अपनी सारी एफर्ट इस बात पे लगा दी कि ड्यूरिंग पीएचडी मैंने एक टॉप पब्लिकेशन करनी है, और दैट इज व्हाई इट वाज पॉसिबल।
बिल्कुल।
तो ये वो चीज़ें हैं जो कीप्स ऑन मोटिवेटिंग योरसेल्फ टू डू मोर। तो मैं जैसे शुरू में मैंने बताया कि इन ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल स्टडीज, क्योंकि आप लोग नेचुरल साइंसेस के लोग हैं, तो आप लोग ज़रा इस तरफ अगर आइडिया नहीं है तो मैं स्ट्रांगली रिकमेंड करूँगा कि लिंक्डइन के ऊपर हार्वर्ड बिजनेस रिव्यू को फॉलो करें। उसके अंदर शॉर्ट आर्टिकल्स होते हैं, 4 मिनट्स 5 मिनट्स रीड्स। तो वहाँ पे आपको ऐसी डायरेक्शन मिलेगी जो जिसके लिए आपको कोई बिजनेस के कोर्सेज करने की जरूरत नहीं है। आप
ओके।
एम्प्लॉयमेंट रिलेशंस रिलेटेड, एचआर रिलेटेड आपको रियलाइज हो जाएगा। जैसे मैंने पहले बात की कि आपको कोई एम्प्लॉयर नहीं कहेगा कि आपने अपने करियर को कैसे इंप्रूव करना है। मैं यहाँ पे सारे पार्टिसिपेंट से ये क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता हूँ, आज तक किसी ने आपको कहा हो कि आप कैसे प्रोग्रेस कर सकते हैं? किसी ने नहीं कहा होगा। ये आपने खुद सेट करना है।
एक्चुअली
आपने
यही बात है। थैंक यू। सॉरी मैं बात काट रही हूँ कि अपने गोल्स को सेट करें। आज
Yes,
से लेके नेक्स्ट 5 इयर्स के गोल आपको पता होने चाहिए कि आपने जाना कहाँ तक है। जब तक टारगेट आपका सेट नहीं होगा तो वो पाथ डिफाइन आप कैसे कर सकते हैं ना। तो
definitely.
आपने माशाल्लाह इस चीज़ को
उसके लिए ये रियलाइज एंड रिवाइज योरसेल्फ, ऑलवेज रियलाइज योरसेल्फ फर्स्ट एंड देन रिवाइज योरसेल्फ। इस रिवाइज का मतलब मैं ये लेता हूँ कि आपने बचपन में जिंदगी की गुजारने के असूल आपके डिफरेंट थे, फिर आप स्कूल डेज में आए डिफरेंट हो गए, कॉलेज लाइफ में आए, यूनिवर्सिटी लाइफ में आए, फिर आप प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में आए। तो आप अपने जो जिंदगी गुजारने के असूल हैं, जो चीज़ें आपको अच्छी लगती हैं बुरी लगती हैं, वो कीप ऑन चेंजिंग। ठीक है, तो इसलिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू नीड टू रियलाइज योर पोटेंशियल एंड देन रिवाइज अकॉर्डिंगली। स्टिक नहीं हो जाना चाहिए, रिजिड नहीं हो जाना चाहिए कि बस यही कुछ है जो कुछ है, नहीं। देयर इज ऑलवेज अ चेंज गोइंग अहेड, इवन टाइम चेंजेस पर सेकंड। हम कैसे
यस।
स्टिक रह सकते हैं कि जी मैं जो कुछ कर रहा हूँ बस ठीक है, मैं टीटीएस पे हूँ
हाँ।
मेरे लिए ठीक है, मैं बीपीएस पे हूँ मेरे लिए ठीक है? नो, इवन टाइम चेंजेस पर सेकंड। जी, अगर कोई क्वेश्चंस हैं प्लीज तो हम इसको फर्दर
बस
कैरी ऑन कर सकते हैं।
हाँ जी, अभी तक तो कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है। बस इन द
ये देख
एंड
लें
थैंक यू
पार्टिसिपेंट्स
कहना
मौजूद
है।
हैं।
और ये सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात ये है कि कंफर्ट जोन में नहीं रहना चाहिए। हमेशा अपने कंफर्ट जोन को ब्रेक करेंगे तो कुछ अचीव होता है लाइफ में।
Definitely,
सो
this is called never become routinists.
सो 15 पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं। सो थैंक यू जो लिसनर्स अभी तक हैं साथ। और माशाल्लाह बहुत
ये
अच्छी टॉक है ये।
मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स को भी कहता हूँ कि मुझे अगर कोई बिठा देना कि मैं 3 घंटे किसी को सुनूं तो शायद मेरे लिए भी डिफिकल्ट होगा। आई ऑलवेज अप्रिशिएट द ऑनलाइन लिसनर्स, क्योंकि इट्स रियली हार्ड टू लिसन टू समवन। और फिर अगर चीज़ें इंटरेस्टिंग ना हो तो मजीद बोरिंग हो जाता है। आई होप
नहीं नहीं,
कि
ये तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सेमिनार
मेड इट
था।
बोरिंग।
और बिलीव मी के क्वेश्चंस एंड आंसर्स भी बहुत होंगे। हम आपसे बल्कि आपका कोई फीडबैक अगर फॉर्म है या वो है तो वो हम ज़रूर आपको देना चाहेंगे। बिकॉज इट्स अ वेरी इंफॉर्मेटिव। और हम लोगों के ख़ास तौर पे जो HODs हैं या फैकल्टी मेंबर्स हैं, जिस तरह के कोविड के एरा में कि किस तरह से हम रिसर्च को लेके चल सकते हैं एंड हाउ टू एस्टेब्लिश individually and then collaborate with the relevant field expertise. तो ये आपने बहुत अच्छा explain किया, and apart from that also TTS system is well explained, और ये एक fear खत्म हो गया है कि TTS system कोई इतना अच्छा नहीं है या इसको
मैं इसमें आपको मज़ीद बताना चाहूँगा कि I regularly keep on applying to top universities around the globe for academic faculty position. इसलिए नहीं कि मैंने ज्वाइन करना है, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि मैंने पहले 5 years स्पेंड करने हैं यहाँ पे नास्पिन स्कूल में. तो उस दौरान मैंने क्या किया, टू गेन द एक्सपीरियंस एंड एक्सपोजर हाउ इट वर्क्स. आप लोग अप्लाई करके देखें, इवन इफ यू डोंट वांट टू ज्वाइन, ये एक बड़ा अच्छा लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस है कि उस इंटरव्यू के दौरान आपको जो डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन है, जो रेलेवेंट क्वेश्चंस हैं रिलेटेड टू योर डोमेन, इट्स हाईली amazing experience. I have been shortlisted for the top universities such as University of Bath in UK, Coventry University, Huddersfield University, Strathclyde University, and then Maynooth University in Ireland. I have been shortlisted by St. Rose College in New York. तो वहाँ पे shortlisting हुई किस वजह से कि because of the profile जो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पिछले 5 सालों में मैंने डेवलप किया, और उसकी बेसिस पे जो लर्निंग एक्सपीरियंस हुआ कि व्हाट आर द रिक्वायरमेंट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू आर tenured प्रोफेसर इन पाकिस्तान, यू आर रिस्पेक्टेड ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड. आप इसकी बेसिस पे किसी भी अच्छी जगह पे जा सकते हैं. why I always emphasize, you keep on yourself as marketable. आपका CV marketable होना चाहिए. आपको head hunting firms जो academic search, ये last week I was contacted by academic search which is headhunting firm for the faculty members in USA. They approached me to apply for a faculty position of associate professor of human resource management at one of the US based college near New York. So I applied for that position, and they replied within 2 days, right? So you have to keep yourself marketable. तो वो तब ही हो सकता है जब आप carefully plan करें every year of your job. Routinist नहीं बनना. तो everybody has the potential. I strongly believe, जैसे मैंने पहले कहा कि we have been tested because we are faculty members. Now we should trust our faculty members and then never test them again.
Yes. Okay. With this very informative reminders for all, I like to thank all for joining, and I hope so that such type of lecture will be held in future, because we really want such an inspiring persons to have an advice to us. And thank you so much. I think there is no more question. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, and I thank you all the participants. Thank you very much for bearing 1 hour and 50 minutes. And I hope, and I can be reached. I have my email address here, and I can be reached at this email, naseer.akhtar@nbs.nus.edu.pk. And if you are interested in journal indexing as well, so I also lead the working paper, and there are 5 NUS journals, and I'm also leading that group of editors as well at NUS, and we are closely collaborating for HJRS, which is recently implemented by HEC. So
Yes, we attended both of the most of our faculty members, because our university also launched 10 journals last year, and most of us are chief editors of our journals. They are journals of life sciences and stats. So if you as well, please आप अपनी faculty को कहें कि हमारे साथ मतलब collaboration करें articles wise, और वैसे भी HARS system जो है, I think it's not an easy task now to get recognized in HEC.
नहीं देखें, उसमें मैं definitely I will definitely share this word कि आप लोग collaborate करें, लेकिन आप देखें कि even for my journal मैंने faculty members को, अपने ही नस बिजनेस स्कूल के faculty members को request की कि आप इसमें submit करें, तो they have not submitted a single paper.
नहीं, लेकिन अब तो ये भी रिस्ट्रिक्शन है ना कि जिस डिपार्टमेंट का है उसके मेंबर्स नहीं कर सकते.
हाँ जी, ये तो अब हुई है ना. तो मैंने इसी चीज इस खदशे को पेश नजर रखते हुए कि एज आई हैव द हैबिट ऑफ सीइंग बियॉन्ड 2 years and 5 years, तो मैंने शुरू से ही जो अपने इंटरनेशनल कॉलीग्स हैं मैंने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट की, मैंने अपनी सारी सबमिशंस, अगर आप नस बिजनेस रिव्यू के इशू को देखें तो ऑल ऑफ देम हैव फॉरेन ऑथर्स। मैं बजाय पाकिस्तान में मैं टारगेट इंटरनेशनल ऑडियंस को करता हूँ कि वंस वी एस्टैब्लिश द जर्नल देन पाकिस्तानी ऑडियंस विल ऑटोमेटिकली डाइवर्टेड। और जब से पहले इशू के बाद वाई कैटेगरी हुआ है तो दिस इज इन इटसेल्फ एन अचीवमेंट कि आप पहले इशू पे ही आपको वाई कैटेगरी मिलता है। तो उसमें भी अब डायरेक्शन हो रही है कि लोग आ रहे हैं, अब सबमिशन आना शुरू हो गई हैं पाकिस्तान से भी।
सही।
इसमें इंशाल्लाह हम एक सेपरेट सेशन कर सकते हैं
जी इंशाल्लाह।
हाँ जी।
लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड।
चलिए, थैंक यू वेरी मच, ठीक है,
थैंक यू
अल्लाह
सर।
हाफिज।
ओके, अल्लाह हाफिज।